I know, I just wanted to stand there awkwardly. I thought it'd be a fun way to start. Just trying to get creative each time. I haven't done awkward standing yet. So, just trying to keep people on their toes. Yay! Wednesday? Thursday! February 20th! Heracles! Oh, we'll get to our final real big story with the story of Theseus from Tuesday that you guys did not read, are completely putting off. Don't worry, it'll be on next week's test with the things coming up. But the main things you're going to have to know for the story is the first half of it, where it's all interesting and kind of crazy. We're going to deal with the Minotaur, because the Minotaur is half man, half bull. Nice. So we have the Minotaur that's half man, half bull. And that's where we have Theseus comes in. Theseus kills it. And then the other thing you're going to have to... Oh, there's the Minotaur. The Minotaur, the father ends up throwing it into the basement because it's kind of scary and keeps eating people. And he throws it into a labyrinth. And a labyrinth is a... Yes.
There's a movie called The Labyrinth, and there's this creepy guy. And
right. What's the labyrinth?
It's an underground maze.
It's like a cell.
Close. It can be a cell. Three names.
It's underground maze.
Yeah, it's a maze. And so a labyrinth is just a giant maze, and he ends up, King Minos throws the Minotaur baby into this labyrinth underneath. And he has this really super smart guy named Daedalus design the maze, this labyrinth. And that way, every time he has a prisoner, they throw the prisoners into the maze, and that becomes the punishment. You then wander around until you get eaten. The problem is, he doesn't want, King Minos doesn't want anyone to figure out how to get through the maze. And since only one person knows how to get through it, and that's the guy that created it, he takes Daedalus and stores him up in a tower. Sort of like you see in fairy tales with princesses with really long hair. He has the same thing, except it's an old guy that's almost bald. And he takes Daedalus and sticks him up into a tower with his son Icarus. And so Icarus and Daedalus get stuck up into this tower. And that'll play a big part in the story. And there's also the death of King Aegeus, but that just deals with Theseus when he's coming back home. You'll be able to figure that one out. I'm going to skip that. We're going to get to the funner story for today. And to there. For those of you, when you read the story, this will all make a lot more sense about how the Aegean Sea gets named that way from King Aegeus. If you've not read the story, it makes no sense to you. Yeah?
The guy missed the boat. Does that happen?
Yeah, that's why it's in the story. Uh-huh.
Can I tell the story?
Definitely not. That's one. Then they put the honey on there, and this ant goes through it. They tie a string to an ant. The ant has to go through a conch shell, and it's not, and you get kills, all kind of fun stuff. String comes out the bottom side. Gets in that. Oh, that's a cute story. And they kill a guy with a bathtub, which is also a great thing to do. They do boiling water into it. All kinds of fun things in the story. I just try to make
Girl.
They were little girls, and they didn't want a guy to get taken away from them. And he had invented the very first bi-level bathtub, because a long time ago, when you had to get a warm bath, you would sit there, but in order to get more hot water, you'd have to clap your hands, and your servants would come in with buckets of hot water, and they would pour them on you. The problem is, you're sitting in your bathtub, and you have to cover the naughty bits when they come in, and it would be all embarrassing. So this guy, Daedalus, invents the first time where they put the hot water tub on the ceiling of the floor above you, and they have like this pipe that comes down and a little lever that you pull, thus sending the hot water down into it. And then you had a little plug in the bottom. You remove the plug, water would go out, you pull the thing, and that way your servants don't have to see your naughty bits. And so they end up using that to kill a guy, because they put boiling water into it and then grease the little pole. So when he pulls it down, it shoots boiling water in there, and they cook him like a little lobster. And he dies. And it's little girls that do it, because he made them toys, and the little girls didn't want to give up their toys, so they decided to kill a man. Perfectly logical reason for killing someone, because you don't want to give up toys. I mean, everybody's like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to take your Xbox, I'm going to kill you. So it's the same thing. So.
Are those King Minos's daughters?
No, this would be a different king. King Minos is the guy that gets killed. Those different daughters. Now to our story that we're going to get to for today, the story of Heracles. The last one I think we'll end up doing with us, because it seems to be the one that kids seem to enjoy the most. Goes back to this guy you might have heard of by the name of Zeus. Zeus once again decides to be friendly, this time with a human girl, again, by the name of Alcmena. A-L-C-M-E-N-A. Well, after Zeus and Alcmena are friendly, Zeus breaks the news to her. Hey, guess what? Wife is going to try and kill you. And she's like, no. He's like, yeah, it's going to happen a lot. I apologize. I wish you luck. I'll see you later. Well, Alcmena doesn't want to die. She's heard bad things about this whole death stuff. So she's going to try and avoid it. So she prays to Hera. She goes, please don't kill me. It it wasn't my fault. I didn't know he was Zeus. I thought it was a different guy. She goes, how about this? If you don't kill me, I'll name my child after you. Hera doesn't kill her, mostly because Hera's distracted doing other stuff and biding her time and waiting. Well, Alcmena eventually gives birth to a baby, and she's like, I'm going to name my baby after you, but the baby turns out to be a boy. And she's like, oh well. And she goes ahead and names the baby after Hera anyway. And so she names her baby Heracles, which in Greek and Latin breaks up into two different words. Hera, which is pretty easy because Hera means the god, and then Cles, which in Greek meant the joy of, or to cause happiness. So essentially his name meant happy Hera, or the god of happiness. And so, which, if you can imagine, being a young boy, was embarrassing. It's like if your parents now named you Happy Susie. And you're like, my name is Happy Susie Jones? And you're like, really? Why are you laughing? He had the same issue growing up. Well, once he's born, and Alcmena names her son after Hera, Hera's like, that was so sweet of you. Yeah, I'm still going to kill him. And so she decides that she's going to kill Heracles and get him out of the way and teach once again women you should not be friendly with her man. So, while Heracles is still a wee baby, only a few days old, she sends two giant snakes to go into his crib and bite him and gobble him up and chew him into little tiny pieces. Because Hera thinks that'd be fun. So, Hera sends these two giant snakes into the crib. Heracles, it turns out, is one of Zeus's strongest sons ever. So even as a little baby, when the snakes come into the crib, he reaches up and goes, gravity, gravity, and squeezes them like those little stress balls. And when he does, like the snake's eyeballs go, brrrr, brrrr, and just squeezes them a couple times, and, brrrr, brrrr, and eventually smacks their heads together, takes the heads, like smacks them against the wall, and their teeth stick, and uses them like to climb up like little ropes. Has a good time with the snakes. Next morning, Alcmena comes in, and she sees two snakes like stuck to the wall with their teeth into it, and he's like swinging back and forth like Tarzan. She's like, ah, ah! Realizes that Hera probably didn't forgive her, because I don't think it was raining, and the two snakes tried to come in and kill her baby. So she's like, I'll do what I can to try and save you, baby Heracles. Hera's like, I'm going to do what I can to kill you, baby Heracles. But at the same time, she realizes it's not going to be easy. So Hera fades in the background, laughing maniacally. And she's going to wait and bide her time. Years go by. Nothing happens. Heracles gets all the way until he's a teenager. Somewhere in his mid-teens, he's at school one day, and it turns out he's inherited his father's temper. Because who's his father? Zeus. And Zeus has issues. Well, one day, Heracles is out at music lessons, and he was not very good at music whatsoever. He was in the woods and was playing a thing called the lyre that Apollo had, a little guitar-looking thing, but he was awful at it. And he's trying to practice. They're out in the woods, him and the music teacher, and Heracles is like, banger, bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. And she's like, ah, ah. He's like, well, your father's definitely not Apollo. Ah, was your father a monkey? Because that's embarrassing. And so he keeps making fun of Heracles, and Heracles eventually snaps. He's like, ah, picks up the lyre from the little handle on the neck, turns, and just whack hits the music teacher upside the head. The music teacher goes, okay. He falls over dead. Heracles is like, ah. Oops. Realizes that's not a good thing because killing teachers is bad. Let's repeat that. Killing teachers is bad. And so he ends up killing the music teacher, picks up the music teacher and the little guitar, and runs all the way back down to town. He's like, something happened to our music teacher. Something's wrong. And drops in the middle of town. They're like, what happened? Like, he died during my music practice. Town's like, how bad are you? He's like, no, I hit him with it. They're like, do you not know how to play that thing? And he's like, well, no, I got mad. Hit him in the head. And they're like, you can't kill teachers. Once again, they repeat it, you can't kill teachers. And so they repeat the idea that killing teachers is wrong. Well, they kick Heracles out of town. They banish him. Like, you can't go around killing people in fits of anger, so you're going to have to leave. So he hugs his mama, Alcmena, and she's like, I'll miss you. And he takes off, wanders throughout Greece for a while, until eventually he settles down in another town. Tells him that he's Heracles, but no one there knows that he's a teacher killer, because that's like the worst thing you could ever possibly do. And so he doesn't tell anyone about his bad history. Sets up his own house out in the woods, doesn't live around people because he's ashamed if he might hurt them. Years go by, he eventually meets himself a girl by the name of Megara, a real cutie. They get married. They have kids, 2 small sons. Things continue to go well. Him, Megara, the two sons, live in his cabin out in the woods. One day he tells his wife, hey, I'm going to go out chop some wood. She's like, okay, have fun. He's like, I will. And takes off to go chop some wood for firewood. This is the day Hera decides to attack. And Hera comes up with a plan. She turns herself invisible, goes out into the woods right behind Heracles while he's chopping wood, and bedinks him in the head. Bedink! Right into his head. When she bedinks him, she puts a small curse on him. Heracles turns around, doesn't see anything. He's like, that was weird, but okay. Finishes chopping wood. Hera backs away, giggling again. Wahaha, wahaha, ha ha ha. And backs behind a tree. Heracles goes on home, drops the big pile of wood, opens up the door, and he's like, hey people, I'm home. Oh my God! And he sees his family is gone. Instead, there are 3 monsters running around his house. 2 small ones and a big monster. Big old, the arms going to the sides, the big old mouth, and the 2 small ones come running at him, and the big one comes running at him. They wrap their arms around him, and Heracles starts freaking out. He's like, where's my family? And all the monsters go, blaka, 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 blaka. And he's like, I don't speak blaka, blaka. And they're sitting there, and the little ones wrap their little tentacles around his legs and start trying to like bite him with their mouths. He freaks out, takes his axe, and starts chopping at the monsters. Like, where's my family? Where's my family? And chopping at these monsters. Kills the monsters. Can't find his family anywhere in the house. Freaks out. Runs down to the village. He's like, help me, help me. And the villagers come back. He's like, I can't find my family. Some monsters took him. I killed the monsters to help me find my family. I left my family. So the villagers come back up to his house. And they're like, where are the monsters? He's like, the monsters are in the house. They're dead. I need you to help me find my family. Spread out so we can search. They're like, we want to see the monsters. Monsters are awesome. So the villagers go into his house to go see the monsters. Open up the door, and the villagers start screaming, ah! And he's like, ah, no, horrible monsters. They look at him, and they go, ah! And he goes, what's your issue? They're just monsters. And they open up the door, and his family, they're right inside the door, just sitting there, chopped into little pieces with an axe. And he's standing there holding an axe. Because it turns out, when Hera bedinked him in the head, the curse she put on him was that he would see his family as monsters. So he's the one that killed his own family, chopped them up with an axe. He has no idea that he did this. He was like, why would I do such a thing? And the villagers were like, why would you do such a thing? He was like, I thought they were monsters. He's like, that's a horrible thing to say about children. And they yell back and forth. Eventually, Heracles drops the axe, runs away again. And the villagers are like, don't come back, you horrible child killing. I mean, child killing's fine. Teacher's bad. Children's fine. And he takes off running as fast as he can. Eventually, makes his way to an oracle. In an oracle were these fortune-telling people. And there's like a big hole in the ground, and you could talk to it. And the thought was you could talk to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth would then talk to the gods for you. Heracles goes to this oracle and says, Father, I have sinned. I killed my family. That's bad. I don't know why I did it. I thought they were monsters. Can you help me? Zeus responds to Heracles. He's like, hey, killing your family, that's pretty bad. Not as bad as killing a teacher. That's the worst thing you can ever do. But killing your family, that's right up there. He's like, I threw a kid out a window. And that's kind of bad. But you attacked him with an axe. So I can't forgive you for what you did. But here's what we can do. We can try to help you repent. Repenting is where you've done something bad, and you try to make amends. You try to fix it. Heracles goes, I'll do anything. I deserve any punishment you give me. Zeus goes, here's what we can do. I will give you 12 impossible tasks to do. 12 things that no human has ever been able to do. If you can do these 12 things in 12 years, you'll be forgiven. If you fail at a single one of them, then you will not be forgiven, and you'll spend eternity in the underworld. If you finish them, but it takes you longer than 12 years, you will not be forgiven. You will spend eternity in the underworld. Heracles is like, done. I agree. I deserve every bit of this. He goes, what's my first one? Zeus goes, I can't tell you. I'm not going to choose. Your cousin Eurystheus will choose. Eurystheus was another king, another son of Zeus, and he hated Heracles. Thought Heracles was the worst person in the world. He goes, your worst enemy will choose the 12 things you have to do. Heracles is like, all right, I deserve it. Off he goes. Goes to find King Eurystheus. King Eurystheus, in his castle, sees Heracles coming, hates Heracles. As soon as Heracles walks in, Heracles is like, well, that's my first thing. King Eurystheus goes, you know what? I'll be nice. Because I'm a nice guy, we're going to start easy. There's this lion called the Nemean lion. It's been terrorizing this local area of Nemea. I need you just to go kill the lion and bring back its skin as proof that you killed it. Heracles is like, that's it? He's like, that's it. Kill the lion, bring it back. Heracles is like, alright, sounds like fun. So Heracles takes off to go find this Nemean lion. The problem is, when he gets to the Nemean lion, he pulls out his sword, runs up there, the lion jumps at him and starts biting him on the head. Rawr, 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 rawr. He takes the sword and tries to stab it. Finds out the lion has what's called impenetrable skin. What is impenetrable skin?
Bulletproof vest.
Skin you can't penetrate, you can't puncture it. His sword just bounces right off. He's like, ruh-roh, Raggy. Turns out that this lion has been terrorizing him for so long because no one can stab it. And as it's sitting there gnawing on him and going, claw, claw, bite, 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 like any kitty cat would do, he realizes, oh, poo snacks, I got tricked. But before the lion can kill him, he comes up with a way to get rid of it. And if you can't stab the lion, how would you kill it?
Poison it.
Choke it.
Nicely done. He decides to go all WWE on it and gets it into a little sleeper hold and wraps his arms around it and gets it in the little sleeper hold. And the lion's like, meow, 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 meow. And so it eventually passes out. Once he strangles it to death, he then decides to skin it, to take its skin back. The problem is,
It's impenetrable.
done. So he problem solves this by using the lion's own claws. Takes the giant lion paw, squeezes it, beep, the little claw comes out, turns it around, guts the lion, turns it inside out, pulls out all the innards, uses the lion skin as armor. Almost any time you're going to end up seeing Heracles, you're going to see him wearing a lion skin. And that's from this very first mission, when he had to go and kill the Nemean lion. Turns this Nemean lion skin into armor. Takes it back with him to see King Eurystheus. When he gets back to King Eurystheus freaks out just a little bit. Sees all this. Hang on one moment. Silly students clearing up their desk, making it easy on me. I know those of you who start packing up while I was talking, I was just waiting until I got enough of you so I could charge you points.
Finish the story.
No, you're fine still. So then he gets back and starts talking to King Eurystheus. King Eurystheus says, oh, obviously this was a little bit tougher than I thought. He thought he was going to be able to sort of hose Heracles on the first one. He goes, oh, you killed the lion. Good job. How about a snake? So he comes up with a snake for the next one, called a hydra. The hydra was a super powerful walk. Finish it! You've got 11 more labors. But I got through most of the good ones. Well, not even most. There's a lot of good ones on
Are you
there.
gonna finish it tomorrow?
No, we have
Yes.
one game tomorrow. But this one will be the last story that you guys have to read as far as Greek mythology goes.
Oh.
And it also tells you how Heracles dies. And it's fun.
How
dies.
did he die?
Can't tell you that. It's fun. It requires, oh, like, never mind. You almost got me to tell me.
And run away.
And now you can run away.
Well, Hera.